Joining me now to discuss all of this is Peter Jennings, founder of Peter Jennings Strategy Consultants. Peter, thanks for your time. Am I right to say that it's better we move away from a bespoke model of submarine, because all sorts of dramas can accrue that we don't expect to accrue, right?
Oh, absolutely, Chris. The troubles we had with the French-designed submarine was we took a boat that was designed to be powered by nuclear propulsion and then spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars making it less capable to become a conventionally powered submarine. The less design changes we can make, the better. And so I think that is a sensible position for the government to take. And in practice, my judgment is, although there's still a competition in theory between the British design and the American design, ultimately it will be the American Virginia-class design that's selected if we go down this path. And that's because we have the same types of weapons, the same types of combat systems already in use. And therefore that would be so much more simpler for Australia to be actually able to take that particular technology type on.
I want to go to Uzbekistan right now. Oh, to be a fly on the wall in Uzbekistan as Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin meet up. Interesting to hear today, Peter, that China has some concerns about what's happening in Ukraine.
Yes, I thought that was a fascinating admission, maybe even a slip from Vladimir Putin. And what it tells you, I think, is a couple of things. One is that China is emerging as the dominant power in this relationship between China and Russia. China will save Russia's bacon by buying extra cheap oil and gas to help keep the Russian economy going. But China is by far the more powerful country. And Xi Jinping is also being very careful to not provide Putin with a sort of a blank check in terms of support for the war in Ukraine. I'm sure you'll remember, Chris, that the last meeting the two leaders had was just a week or so before the Russian invasion in China at the start of the Winter Olympics. And at that time, I think Putin was briefing Xi Jinping that this was going to be a walkover, that Russian troops would be in Kyiv within days. And clearly that's not happened. So hence the idea of concerns and questions. So I think that, Putin looks weaker at this summit. Xi Jinping looks stronger. Russia, I think, is starting to really show the strains of what has been a badly conceived and badly fought war.
You've got a commentary piece in the Weekend Australian tomorrow focusing on Ukraine. Is the Russian military in as much disarray as the reports suggest?
Yes, I believe they are, because we've seen nothing in the last few months of Russian regrouping in the east and south of Ukraine to suggest that they are actually getting any better and more capable of fighting. And so what I say tomorrow in the Weekend Australian, Chris, is that it's now possible to imagine what a pathway to victory looks like for Ukraine in this conflict. But it's impossible for me to think about how the Russians can actually turn this round as a conventional battle. And indeed, we're also beginning to see, I think, cracks appearing in terms of Russian support for the war. If you track what Russian military bloggers are saying, then it would appear that there is increasing frustration with Russian military performance. And so I think this is also starting to have potentially some domestic repercussions in Russia. I'm not forecasting Ukraine's victory yet. I certainly hope it goes in that direction. But this last week has been, I think, the most promising for Ukraine since the initial defeat of the Russian attack on Kyiv in the first 72 hours of the war.
Yeah, let's hope so. Peter Jennings, thank you very much for your time.